Police Officer Neller, located here in this incident, initially makes a stop and reports that he has the individuals that match the description of the robbery and the cutting stop. This is Mr. Hebert.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. Sure. This is a tree, large tree located out in front. Her location is, Mr. Hebert is here. She would be located here. Dog was with her by the tree.
Can you estimate the distance, please, between, let's say, the tree and the top mark?
No, I'm sorry. We do have that, but I don't have it with me.
Just park it, if you can, 20 feet, 50 feet, 100?
Between the tree and here?
Yeah, we'll just the scale of that layout.
It's not to scale at all.
I'm sorry?
This is not to scale
I
at
know
all.
it's not the scale ballpark. What span of space for the officers and bones?
Oh, okay.
In ballpark.
Let me just go on here and maybe we can get into some of that. Police Officer Neller was here initially. This is the retaining wall, so he's very close to that retaining wall. Police Officer Neller ordered Mr. Hebert and the female to remain seated. Mr. Hebert's feet were facing west towards Virginia. He was located here, female somewhere between this tree and Mr. Hebert. I'm not sure what the distance was. You got a guess on that, Tom, at all?
Between Mr. Hebert and the tree,
Yeah, about 5 feet.
probably in that range.
About 5 feet, 4 or 5 feet.
We're talking about being on a sidewalk and pretty much within the width of a house.
Right, yeah, I don't.
Yes? Okay. Officer Neller was the first officer on the scene. Officer Neller ordered them both to stay seated. That's from a tactical standpoint. Stay there. As he's ordering them, he's putting out the information. Additional officers began to respond. Police Officer Johnson is here. Sergeant Mitchell arrives on the scene here. Police Officer Johnson actually initiates the conversation with Mr. Hebert. He asks Mr. Hebert, do you have a knife? The original broadcast that was put out that Mr. Hebert may be carrying a knife or possibly a sword. Mr. Hebert was seated down on the ground. They asked him, do you have a knife? They asked him several times. He didn't respond initially. Initially, he sat there and asked him again, do you have a knife? Do you have a sword? Mr. Hebert answers, no, I do not. Officer Johnson moves forward, asked Mr. Hebert to please stand up so that he could conduct the pat-down. As Mr. Hebert stood up, Officer Johnson indicates that he reached into the right side of his pocket. Officer Johnson ordered him not to move his hand from there, leave your hand there, which point in time he came back. The other officers confirmed this in different, they see basically the same thing.
Sure they do.
As he came forward with the knife, they see the blade opening from the knife. They report, one of the officers reports a triangular shape as the blade was opening. Officer Johnson is stepping forward. Mr. Hebert extends his right arm and begins to move in this manner. Officer Johnson immediately realizes the threat, takes 2 steps back, starts to unholster his weapon. Sergeant Mitchell, who's a cover officer, fires twice. Mr. Hebert was struck once in the arm, once in the chest, fell along the sidewalk here. The knife was thrown, hit the house.
Well, no, they hit the top window, which is, by the way, a level here, and then an entire level above that. Up there.
15 feet. More than that.
Up and over.
No. The knife hit there's a picture window located here.
How did the knife fit?
The knife hit the window, broke the window, and fell straight down.
Somebody with a knife like that is standing up and goes like this. can get a knife like that all the way up there?
While being shot.
There is no way.
That family woke up to glass breaking, not gunshot.
Yeah.
Was the knife thrown before the officers showed up?
No,
That's kind of what it sounds like.
it was not. The officers testified, the officers were separated pretty quickly.
Be sure that it wasn't like a Zippo lighter he was taking out of his pocket to light a cigarette or something?
Knife was recovered. The knife was, 13 inches long.
Opened. The blade is 6 though, right?
Blade, that's correct. Blade, the back of the handle, 13 inches. And
Tip to stern.
I didn't say it was a 13-inch blade. I said it was a 13-inch knife.
Can you explain when the knife was thrown into that?
Yes. The knife was thrown as Mr. Hebert came up, brought the knife forward, opened. He was Mr. Hebert's feet.
So they shot him in the back? And then the bullet came around and got him in the...
Mr. Hebert's feet were facing west, initially seated here on the ground. Officer Johnson asked him to stand. Officer Johnson approached this way. As Mr. Hebert stood up, he began to twist towards Officer Johnson.
On his.
The knife came out. All the officers are describing that. They saw the knife come out. They heard Officer Johnson issue orders not to move your hands, not to move. The knife came out, open, came within a foot of Officer Johnson. As he was turning, it was shot once. It was shot once in the left arm, once in the chest. The knife left his hand, hit the house, fell straight down, broke the window, fell straight down, and that's where we recovered it at.
Right or left hand?
Now, one at a time, please.
Yeah, one at a time.
Raise hand.
Yes, sir.
I have a question about what's talking about the discussion with Mr. Butler. In terms of what length of time that was, individual speaking with him, or
I don't have that with me, but I'm sure we can figure that out. I didn't bring that with me. Yes, sir.
You said that, the officers quickly separate, quickly. 1 minute, 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours.
Say within the first 4 to 5 minutes on scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the video doesn't really show that.
The involved officers I feel very confident within 5 minutes were separated. I'm sure you do see people searching, and I'm sure you do see people looking around with lights. I haven't seen it. Yes, ma'am. Supervisors, the initial separation is done by field supervisors. That follows our policies and procedures. No, the supervisors came actually from all throughout the city. Yes, sir. Not for discharging his weapon.
For shooting somebody in the back with a taser.
He shot an individual with a taser.
And which
From his car.
he was, big sergeant. Why would he get cover on that?
I'm sorry?
Why would an officer with disciplinary like march against him? He
Promoted.
Well, those are,
He wasn't an officer before that. Before he saved somebody, he was promoted after that. And in an incident before that, he let a 14-year-old die in the backseat of his car. And in another incident, he shot somebody twice who had a BB gun, and there is conflicting evidence about what happened. And the CPA report even has a comment from one neighbor who said that the person who was shot twice with the BB gun, who obviously he thought that he could threaten the cops with the BB gun, that he was complying with the orders. But the CPA chose to believe, the wall of silence that was there, as opposed to victim and a neighbor who saw what happened. This is a rogue cop, a thug, a sociopath.
I would not classify him as that.
Well,
And I We have,
protected by the brass, and you're part of the brass amount.
well, yes, I am part of the brass. I'm very proud of that.
Why Janky came out and exonerated Mitchell. I'd like to hear that.
We haven't exonerated anyone.
Janky came out and said
Justified his actions right off the bat.
immediately, right after that, he said that Mitchell, did not do anything wrong.
Colonel Jenke gave you an account, 9, maybe 10 hours after the incident occurred. Colonel Jenke did not exonerate anyone. I was there. I saw it. Colonel Jenke told you the facts as best he could at that point in time. I've given you a little bit of an update since then. These are the facts that, as we have discovered them. We have no other
You're
indication.
regurgitating what we've already heard.
All right.
Let's keep your hands raised.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want you to clarify a statement you've already made.
Okay.
Are you saying that from where Mr. Hebert was, the knife flew from his hand, across the sidewalk, across the yard, across the porch, hit the window, made a circular hole in that window, which we've all seen, and then fell forward out into the yard?
There were 2 panes of glass. The window fell, or the knife fell straight down along the house is where we recovered it there's a hedgerow in the building itself. The knife was recovered in between the hedgerow
Okay.
and the building itself.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yes, sir.
Bones was sitting when the officers initially approached.
Yes, sir.
Was he sitting or standing, or what was his posture when he was shot?
He was standing.
He was standing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If he was taking a swipe to the side, right, and the cops behind him who shot him, he shot him in the arm, and then you said he shot him in the chest?
The officer fired 2 shots. The cover officer, Sergeant Mitchell, fired 2 shots when he perceived the threat.
Okay.
One shot impacted his left arm, up by the bicep. Second round impacted his chest.
Directly on his chest, so he would have had to have been this direction to have been shot.
He
was turning, but he started at this direction. He was coming this way. He was already shot once. He would have had to have been.
You think he would spin the other direction
He would have
after
had
he
to
got
have
shot?
spun 180 degrees.
And this is where the coroner's report really is necessary.
But you're the investigators for the coroner, though, right? You're the investigator for the coroner, and isn't that a conflict?
My opinion is that as he was spinning, shot once in the arm, the impact of that forced him to move faster, if you will, and expose his chest, is where the second round impacted. Yes, ma'am.
What was the amount of time between when Mitchell and the other officers arrived and that shot occurred? How much time elapsed?
I did not bring a timeline, and
Can you give me
it would have been a matter of seconds. With this entire incident, I mean, from the time that it was dispatched to the time that Mr. Hebert was shot is a matter of minutes. This is all occurring very, very quickly. Yes, sir.
You made a statement earlier that Sergeant Mitchell is typically at District 5. How often is he currently in the field responding to issues versus being at District 5 handling administrative issues?
My statement was that he was at the District 5 station when the rent run came out. He left the District 5 station, came through Northside, and responded over on the Virginia. If I understand your question, how long does he typically stay in the station versus find himself in the field?
He would respond to a call where there's an incident such as a cutting or
Serious type of
Yeah,
incident.
serious. It made me think that maybe he's in the district more often than he is out in the field responding, and that's where my
No,
question.
it's not unusual for our sergeants to be in and out of the district all through their tours. There's a lot of work that has to be done inside, paperwork, checking, reports, different things along those lines. So we expect our supervisors to be in the station and in the field and divide their time up accordingly. Yes, sir.
I've heard a bunch of proximity used as like kind of a justification for killing him.
I'm not trying to justify anything.
Well, as an excuse, or this is why we did it, you just said a foot away, I guess he swung, and then somehow threw the knife and swung a foot away. Why would you guys responded to, Stanley? Why would you get that close to somebody you knew had a knife? You got a 26-inch baton, rubber bullets, beanbags, taser. Why would you get that close?
It's a very good question. And normally, if he would have had the knife out, if we would have seen something in his hands, but what we saw was an individual sitting down, hands were clear,